Your baby just woke up again. It's 3 a.m. You were in the deepest sleep you've had in weeks, and now you're standing in the dark, eyes half open, trying to piece together what you're even supposed to do. This isn't bad luck, it isn't a phase, and it almost certainly isn't something wrong with your baby. It's biology, and once you understand what's actually going on inside your baby's brain at 3 a.m., you'll never see these wake ups the same way, and you'll know what to do about them. Stay with me, the fix most parents miss isn't complicated, but you can't use it until you understand why the waking is happening. Here's what nobody explains. Your baby's sleep isn't a smaller version of yours, it runs on completely different architecture. An adult sleep cycle runs about 90 minutes. Your baby's runs between 45 and 50. Which means while you're moving through 2 or 3 deep sleep phases in the same stretch, your baby is surfacing back to light sleep almost twice as often. Here's the part that changes how you see all of this. Babies don't move between sleep cycles the way adults do. Adults shift through those transitions mostly without knowing it. We roll over, pull the covers up, and drop straight back under. We don't register the transition because our brains are developed enough to handle it automatically. Your baby's brain isn't there yet. At every sleep cycle boundary, every 45 to 50 minutes, your baby surfaces to a state that's right on the edge of waking. And in that moment, they look for whatever was there when they first fell asleep. Read that again. They look for the conditions that were there when they fell asleep. That's the whole thing. That's why your baby wakes at 3 a.m., not because something went wrong, because something is different. If your baby fell asleep being held, they'll surface at the cycle boundary and notice they're not being held anymore. If they fell asleep feeding, they'll notice the feeding stopped. If they fell asleep with motion, a rocker, a car, a bouncer, they'll notice it's gone still. And then they cry, not because something is wrong, because something changed. Researchers call this sleep onset association. Whatever is present at the moment of falling asleep becomes, neurologically, what the brain expects at every subsequent waking. When those conditions are gone, the brain flags it as a problem. And at 3 a.m., your baby has exactly one tool for flagging problems. It cries. This is where most parenting advice gets it wrong. The standard response is, change the association. Don't let them fall asleep at the breast. Don't rock them all the way under. Put them down drowsy, but awake so they fall asleep in the same conditions they'll find later in the night. That advice isn't completely wrong. Drowsy but awake can work, but it only works well for certain babies at certain stages, and it demands a level of precision that most parents running on no sleep at 11 p.m. simply don't have. Put the baby down 1 degree too awake and they're screaming. 1 degree too asleep and you're right back where you started. There's a different approach that doesn't get talked about much. It works with the biology instead of against it. It's called the wake-to-sleep technique, developed by pediatric sleep researcher Tracy Hogg. The idea is simple, though it takes some nerve. You gently rouse your baby from deep sleep about 45 minutes before the usual waking, so around 2 a.m. or 2:15 if 3 a.m. is your problem time, just enough to stir them slightly without fully waking them. What that does is interrupt the sleep cycle before it reaches the vulnerable light sleep boundary. You're resetting the cycle. The baby stirs, notices the sleep conditions are still there, and drops back into a fresh, deep sleep phase, one that carries them through the 3 a.m. window where they'd normally surface and cry. Most parents who try this are genuinely surprised when it works. Not always on the first night, sleep patterns take a few nights to shift. But the principle is solid, and among parents who stick with it consistently, the success rate is real. The second thing worth knowing is what's happening hormonally at 3 a.m. specifically. Cortisol, the stress hormone, and also the hormone that kicks off the body's waking process, starts climbing in the early morning hours. In adults, it peaks around 8 or 9 a.m. In infants, that rise starts earlier and is much less regulated. The 3 a.m. waking usually isn't random. It lines up with the first significant cortisol uptick of the night, which makes that particular sleep cycle boundary harder to cross quietly. What helps cortisol? Same thing that helps most things in infant sleep. Your presence. Your body is a cortisol regulator for your baby. When your baby is close to you, smelling you, hearing your breathing, feeling your warmth, their cortisol response is dialed down. This is why babies sleeping close to a parent in a bedside bassinet or through safe co-sleeping often have fewer and shorter night wakings than babies in a separate room. Not a coincidence. Physiology. The third piece is daytime, and most parents never make the connection. A baby going into the night overtired will sleep worse, not better. It feels backwards. Surely a more tired baby sleeps longer, but cortisol doesn't work that way. An overtired baby has been running elevated cortisol all day, and that elevated baseline makes nighttime sleep choppier. The sleep cycles are the same length, but the transitions between them are harder to move through because the nervous system is already wound up. Protecting daytime naps, not dropping them to tire the baby out, not shortening them to protect the night, is one of the most reliable things you can do for night wakings. A baby who goes into the night well rested has a more settled nervous system. That settled nervous system handles the cycle transitions more easily. The practical version of all of this is simpler than it sounds. Know what your baby fell asleep with and understand they'll look for those same things at every cycle boundary. If you want to shift the association, do it gradually, one small change over several nights, not a complete overhaul in one go. Try wake to sleep if 3 a.m. is a predictable waking. Rouse gently around 2 to 2:15. Give it 3 nights before drawing any conclusions. Protect daytime naps. An overtired baby does not sleep better at night. And if none of this moves things, if your baby has been waking every 45 minutes around the clock for weeks, that's a separate conversation about developmental leaps, regressions, and whether feeding needs are being met in the day. Those are solvable too, but they start from the same place this does. Understanding what's actually going on. It's 3 a.m. Your baby's brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. The question was never what's wrong with them. It was whether you had the information to meet that moment differently. Now you do.